ho what da dine and go danyo ho danyo ho what da dine. This is the voice of the patriot, and here we speak truth to power. Here we don't criticize, but if we must, we would only just do it on one condition: to build and not to destroy. That is why we keep saying we are in the service of God and country. This is the voice of the people, and the voice of the people is the voice of God. From the newsreel, we endeavor to always keep it real. My brother, my sister, today we have a number of issues to look at, and I need you to come along whilst we deal with this. Story number one. Now, the very first story we are looking at today is taken from Ghana Web, and it says how Professor Frimpong Boateng allegedly turned down jailed former minister's request for treatment abroad. And I read, former human rights lawyer, I beg your pardon, veteran, not former, veteran human rights lawyer Kwabla Senanu, legal representative for the late former Deputy Minister of Finance, Victor Salome, has recounted how Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, a prominent member of the New Patriotic Party, repeatedly turned down multiple requests for the late Deputy Minister to receive treatment abroad. Victor Salome stood trial and was convicted by a court on charges related to financial impropriety during his tenure as Deputy Minister of Finance under Jerry John Rawlings. Now, in a detailed post shared by the Chief Executive Officer of the National Petroleum Authority, NPA, Edoji Temeklo, and ascribed to him, the legal practitioner alleged that despite a referral from the High Court based on an application requesting medical treatment for the late Salome in the USA due to his peacemaker malfunctioning, Professor Frimpong Boateng rejected the application. According to him, Professor Frimpong Boateng, a cardiologist and head of the cardio department at Kolebu Teaching Hospital, who later became the chief executive officer, rejected the request on two grounds. He questioned why the peacemaker surgery had been conducted abroad and raised concerns about the need for Salome to receive treatment from medical specialists in the United States of America when Ghana had equivalent facilities and specialists capable of treating him. Midway through the trial, I had applied to the High Court to allow Salome to travel to the United States to be attended to by medical specialists who gave him the heart pacemaker that needed replacement due to its dysfunction after its use for years on end without maintenance. When the judge referred the application to the cardiologist, Professor Frimpong Boateng, a leading member of the NPP, he curiously turned down the cross-border referral of the case to the USA on two grounds, he recounted. In his explanation to Professor Frimpong Boateng, the lawyer clarified that the peacemaker surgery had been performed in the United States because the former statesman had suffered a cardiac arrest while on state duty in that country. First, he queried why the surgery for the peacemaker was done in the United States of America. I countered his query by informing him that long before the Kufuor era, Salome had a massive heart attack while on Ghana government business in the United States. The peacemaker was an emergency measure that saved his life at the time and for many years thereafter, he continued. He added, the second objection by Professor Frimpong Boateng was that Ghana had the facilities to treat Salome while he was standing trial at the fast-track High Court. I firmly disagreed with him and told him so, given the massive, painful bleeding that my client Salome was experiencing from the peacemaker into his entire bodily system, despite his care at the Kolebu Cardio Center. It was so bad that he was defecating buckets of blood full of pus at the time. Senanu maintained that his pleas and explanations had no impact on the cardiologist, who ultimately rejected the request. He added that this decision directly contributed to the client's death, as the late Salome was unable to receive the proper care for his condition. Now, the lawyer attributed his client's death to a political vendetta by the successive government, suggesting it was a retaliation against the previous administration. Professor Frimpong Boateng never budged, leading to the death of my client. I broke the news to the court soon after the horrific death of my client. Clearly, my client, Salome, suffered his horrific demise due to the political vendetta on the part of the Kufuor government. He are dead. My brother, my sister, this is a very sensitive issue, and it takes people like us to deal with such sensitive issues. I sit here and I ask myself, should I deal with this or I should let it go? I honestly wouldn't want to deal with it. But if I don't deal with it, nobody will deal with it. So let me deal with it. My brother, my sister, Victor Salome was a deputy minister of finance under J.J. Rawlings at the time. And he was convicted on charges related to financial impropriety. He was jailed 8 years for defrauding by false pretenses and causing financial loss to the state. That was what it was. Now, interestingly, my brother, my sister, Victor Salome fell ill and he wanted to travel abroad for treatment. And when the matter got to the court, it was referred to a cardiologist because he had a heart issue. And everybody knows that Ghana's #1 cardiologist is no other person but Frimpong Boateng, professor. He is the first man to do an open heart surgery in this country called Ghana. Open heart surgery. Frimpong Boateng was the first man to do that. And the cardio center in Ghana, he was the one who founded it. From records. So he was the most qualified to deal with this. My brother, my sister, when this matter was taken to court, it was referred to him to give his verdict whether the patient needed to travel to America for treatment or the treatment could be done in Ghana. He was the best person to talk to. And what did he say? For 2 reasons, he decided to turn down the application. Number 1, Professor Frimpong Boateng said, according to this write-up, why did they do the surgery first and foremost in America when it could have been done here? And it was said that it was because at the time Victor Salome, a deputy finance minister, was on a Ghana mission in America. And he had a massive heart attack. And for that matter, there was the need for this surgery. So he understood. He said, number 2, even though there is a surgery, we have competent doctors in Ghana that can deal with this. Therefore, I refer this patient to our doctors right here in Ghana. But according to the lawyer, he had gone to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, and whilst they were treating him, there was so much blood that was flowing. He was defecating buckets of blood and pus, according to this write-up. You know what pus is? It's like flames. Ultimately, Victor Salome died. And according to the lawyer, it was because he didn't seek treatment abroad. My brother, my sister, number one, it is demeaning to our doctors right here in Ghana, especially the number one cardiovascular doctor in this country and the whole of Africa. Professor Frimpong Boateng is one of the most renowned. He's one of the most professional. Even now that he has broken ties with his own NPP party, he still stands very professional. I will be very surprised if Professor Frimpong Boateng was on a personal political vendetta at the time that he knew that a man's life was at risk. And for that matter, he needed treatment badly. And he rejected that and ultimately wanted the man to die here. Every medical doctor takes an oath to save the life of people. Everybody knows that. It is a very unprofessional doctor who will sit by intentionally and watch a patient die. It's an insult to the whole Kolebu Teaching Hospital to say that there wasn't a professional enough doctor, a competent enough doctor to take care of Victor Salome. That is number one. Now, number two, did Professor Frimpong Boateng specifically mention one or two professionals who could take care of Victor Salome? Did he recommend anybody? Can we get to know? My brother, my sister, today, our Blakk Rasta of the NDC is saying the same thing that Professor Frimpong Boateng said at the time, that no government official, no politician, nobody appointed politically should be allowed to travel across the borders of this country on health tourism. Should I repeat it? Our Blakk Rasta said, and he wants it to happen in this government, under no circumstances should anybody in this country, political or politically appointed, my brother, my sister, be allowed to travel the borders of this country to seek medical treatment. It must all be done here. It will force politicians to build our health system better, and I support him. Again, if it was during Kufuor's era that this happened, Kufuor demonstrated beyond all standards that our Ghanaian governments, I beg your pardon, Ghanaian doctors were very, very competent. What did he do? He went for a major surgery in this country when he had all the resources at his disposal to fly to America and any part of the world to seek treatment. President Kufuor laid on the tables of the surgeons right here in Ghana, who opened him up like a book, read him like a newspaper, covered him up like a book, and returned him back to health. Today, Kufuor is still alive. He didn't die. It's an insult to say because Salome did not travel outside to America to seek treatment, therefore our doctors were incompetent. As to whether it was a personal vendetta, my brother, my sister, I doubt it, because this is a professor who was demonstrated beyond every dossier built around him and around his life that he would be this vindictive. That's the word. It is an insult, my brother, that a politician goes on trial, and the reason is that he has to travel outside his country to seek treatment. How many politicians have run out of this country claiming that they are going for treatment and they never returned? My brother, Maslock Boss is still on the run. Ken Oforiatta, we are told, was on the run until only yesterday when we were told that, oh, he's been taken out of that list of wanted people. Stop demeaning our doctors. Stop witch hunting people when you come into power. This will not help the country in any way. Victor Salome was convicted by a court of justice. I thought they would rather be coming out to say that it was another political witch hunt and that the man was not guilty. Could we go into that instead? Rather, they are talking about him defecating blood and pus and how the incompetent doctors at Kolebu could not treat him, but only American doctors. What kind of slavish mentality is this? What kind of backward mentality is that? It's only American doctors who can treat you people. All you politicians who seek treatment abroad, you will die one after the other. All of you, you are ready to die one after the other. You can fly out of the country for treatment, and those people who voted you into power remain in this country with the poor health facilities and die. Is that what it is? Thanks to President Mahama, there are so many hospitals that he has built. And people only got to say thank you to him when COVID came and they were all running to the university hospital and other hospitals. It was then they saw the importance of the health facilities that this man built. The average Ghanaian doesn't think beyond his stomach. Now, ekwan aduane, ekwan aduane, hospital aduane. My brother, my sister, when he was building hospitals, they were asking if those hospitals were food. Eye kontombre ana eye banchi. Yesi wakosi hospital na fufu ana. Eye fufu ni abankwan. The ordinary Ghanaian doesn't think beyond his stomach. When COVID came, they quickly saw the importance of the hospitals Mahama built. No politician from now should leave this country on a health tourism mission. Stay with our doctors, encourage our doctors, and our doctors will deliver. I leave it here. Now the next thing we want to look at is quite sensitive as well, but you know, it's only Blakk Rasta who can deal with these sensitive issues, right? All right. So this one I'm reading from my Joy Online, and it says, convicted Akwetia MP sneaks out of parliament shortly after entering the chamber. And I read it. Shortly after Ekoforidua High Court issued a bench warrant for his arrest on Wednesday, that's today, February 19, following his conviction for contempt of court, the presumed winner of the Akwetia primary parliamentary seat in the Eastern region, Ernest Yaw Kumi, entered parliament and quietly sneaked out after a few minutes. Joy News's Kweku Asante captured the MP packing his items and leaving the chamber barely a minute after he entered the house, which was in session. In an attempt to speak to the MP, he flared up and chastised Kweku Asante. So that is the MP, my brother, my sister, and this MP got into parliament so Nicodemously. After it came out that there was a bench warrant for his arrest, he quickly sneaked out of parliament. My brother, my sister. Now, Ernest Yaw Kumi is his name. After the elections, he was said to be the winner. And then the other party went to court to seek redress. And the court said, we have put a certain damper on your new status as the MP. For that matter, stay behind whilst this matter is going on. Now, according to the court, the Koforidua court, not even once did the supposed NP ever go to the court. Not once. He has no respect for the court. Yet, he wants to sit in the parliament house and make laws for the courts to use. My brother, my sister, now the Koforidua High Court is very angry. and has decided that this is contempt of court. Court has told you, don't get sworn in. He refused and went in for the swearing in and started attending parliamentary duties. The court now came back and said, this is contempt of court. Therefore, there's a bench warrant. Now he's running away from parliament. Such people do not deserve to be called honorables. They don't respect the court system. They do not respect the law and order that we have in our country. He wants to make laws for the courts that he does not even respect. I am glad that it looks like this time around, the laws are beginning to work. This time around, it looks like President Mahama has had enough. Now he understands better what it means to say power is transient. My brother, my sister, as for this wannabe MP, he doesn't deserve to be an MP at all with this character. I leave it here. Last story I want to look at, and I want to be quick with that, is coming from Ghana Web, and it says Mustafa Yusuf threatened with imprisonment over outrageous African Games expenditure. And I read, sports analyst Ebo Apia has called for the sentencing of former sports minister Mustafa Yusuf over the alleged mismanagement of funds during the 2023 African Games hosted in Ghana. He argued that some of the monies allocated for infrastructure, especially the renovation of hostels at the University of Ghana campus, were not rational and need to be reviewed. Now, the sports analyst also questioned the alleged $50 million spent on feeding and the huge sums of money invested in building the Borteman Sports Complex, suggesting that same amount could be used to build a standard Olympic Games center. Speaking on Sport TFM, Apia called for an investigation into the African Games expenditure and suggested that Yusuf be jailed if necessary. If I had my way, I would jail him. He, Mustafa Yusuf, is somebody who has wrecked our nation. Now, the cost of Borteman could build an Olympic-sized stadium. People like that haven't even seen an Olympic-sized stadium in their lifetime. How does he become a sports minister in the first place? How can you allocate 50 million American dollars for feeding alone? He quizzed. Eboapia also criticized Yusuf, suggesting that the Borteman Sports Complex could be converted into a university. I have heard this story over and over about financial impropriety and about misappropriation concerning this man here called Yusuf. My brother, my sister, listen, man, this is time for accountability and probity. It is time, my brother, my sister, to look into some of these things. Listen, Ghana is not poor. The problem we have with Ghana is corruption. Imagine, yesterday we were talking about a former chief of staff, Fremont Parry. Her children have been given a license to mine with no prior mining knowledge and experience. That's one. And two, no due diligence was done before issuing the license to the children of the chief of staff at the time, Fremont Parry. Thirdly, 9,000 acres of land rich in gold, worth about 1.4 billion American dollars. The sons of this woman decided to downplay it to less than 100 million American dollars. My brother, my sister, and we have a president who told us that he's the most accountable. He's the one who has fought corruption more than anybody in this country. It's a sick country. Very sick beyond treatment. My brother, my sister, right now it looks like anybody who wants a political appointment has a blank check to loot. They are only there to loot and to steal. Patriotism no longer works in our country. Patriotism has been thrown away to the dogs who don't even want to feed on it. My brother, my sister, please investigate this man properly. And if he deserves to be punished, let him be punished according to the laws of the nation. The president listens to this show. My brother, my sister, every politician listens to the show because we talk sense. And we talk sense devoid of any callous, political callous. Everybody knows that. My brother, my sister, it is time for accountability and probity. And this is time for it. If Mahama must leave a strong legacy behind, these are the things that should be held in high esteem. At this point, I want to say good afternoon to you, Mr. President. I admire you, Mr. President. I love what you are doing. You have impressed me in just 1 month that you have been in power. My brother, we don't only sit and criticize. We also will heave praises if it's most necessary. Not many have heard Blakk Rasta heave praises. But when you look deep and find time, you realize that once in a while, we praise those who deserve to be praised. In the interim, it's all about Ghana. It's been the voice of the patriot.
Shut